Not Nerd Podcast, Episode 301, Apple Special Event, California Dreaming.
Welcome to the Not Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
All my tech is gray. California streaming.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, the California streaming event. We just got done watching it, and all of my tech is gray. Space gray, that is.
Yes.
Apple's new announcement for lots of new products. And surprise, surprise, there's probably iPhones in this list here.
Probably, yes. Hopefully their first event of the fall, well, not quite fall, late 2021. We might see some more stuff this year, but
I hope so.
Today they packed quite a bit into this one. The runtime was about right at 80 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes, and we just got done watching it on my TCL Roku TV with Roku soundbar in my living room together, which has been a while, probably since the last Apple event.
Probably, and it was in glorious 4K.
Yes,
but I'm about 25 feet away from the TV, so it could have been in 1K, and I probably don't even notice.
Yes. Okay, yeah, they started off an intro music video. The video team wanted to show off some of their drone skills and transitions.
Yeah. And I made a note here. Tim Cook, impressed with his own video. Yes. It's like, he's the CEO of a $3 trillion company. They make this multi-million-dollar video, and he's like, "Oh, wasn't that fantastic and great?" It's like, it's your video. It's
yes.
What else are you going to say?
Yes. Well, he did his typical intro there and then got right into Apple TV Plus and all the new shows, which they've got a bunch of stuff. And
I couldn't even tell you. It was like show title, date, show title, date, show title, date with clips mixed in between. And I didn't even write them all down. I'm like, okay, all their new shows are coming out.
Yes. They talked about Ted Lasso and all the awards. And then there was a Tom Hanks sci-fi show that
blew me away.
Something that looks great.
Yeah, I didn't get the name or anything, but I saw Tom Hanks. I'm like, well, that's cool. And then I was very surprised to see that it was sci-fi, and I'm like, count me in.
Yes, indeed. But then they moved on to hardware, and they had some big announcements in the iPad world.
Yes, lots.
Which we weren't necessarily sure of. We're never sure what they're going to announce in the event. But they talked briefly about the new iPad OS that will be coming out probably, my guess would be Tuesday, Wednesday of next week.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, both of us have been using the beta on iPad OS, and so, or have you?
I have not been using the beta on my iPad just because I don't use my iPad. I've had it on my phone and my watch, so not my computer or the iPad.
Yeah, so I was like, well, all those features look the same, but I've been using them.
That would make sense.
Yeah, so that's exciting. I'm always glad when they iterate and make updates to the OS, but as expected, their regular bottom of the line $329 iPad has been improved.
Yes.
I mean, wow, I was so surprised. And as they do always, they basically keep the same form factor, the same everything, and add a new faster chip because they've been developing new chips this whole time. They did go a little bit farther, it seems, and updated the cameras, at least the front camera, and gave us the center stage feature, which, if you recall, is the one where it's a wide field camera, and as you move around the room, it can kind of zoom in and out to track you around the room. Now, I think most people, when they use FaceTime or Zoom or whatever, are sitting steady. But if you were in the kitchen preparing a meal and grandma called and you're kind of walking to and fro, it would track you in that scenario. So hopefully it's something that people will utilize, but it's good to have it whether they do or not, the better FaceTime camera.
Yes.
And then also the screen, True Tone screen.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was there before, but
they mentioned it.
They did mention it. What else about this here?
Yeah, so it's coming in same price, $329, $299 for education. I will let people know on Amazon it's been around $279. It might not be that at the beginning,
Yeah.
but always check Amazon or check specials. I'm sure for this one, the low end, the Black Friday, all of that stuff coming up, you'll be able to get a deal. So under $300, you'll probably be able to get this thing.
Yeah, or Costco.
Yes, Costco.
305 or something like
Yes.
that. So it's a great price. There is not a tablet on the market in any make or model that even can compete with the iPad. Believe me, I've researched them, I've tried them, I
Yeah.
purchased a couple, and they work. They're okay. But at the end of the day, you're basically going to be running the same apps on Android that you would on iPad. You're going to like them better on iPad.
Yeah.
And so if there's a grandparent out there or a kid who's just like, Mommy, I want a device, or hey, I want to send an email to Grandma and Grandpa, the iPad is the way to go. And a short sidestep, I'm helping a person get rid of a 15-inch Lenovo laptop computer that a salesperson pressured them into buying. This is like a 80 plus something gentleman, and he just needs an iPad.
Yeah.
That's all he needs is an iPad.
Yes, indeed. And they did bump up the base storage to 64 gigs, which is nice. I believe it was 32 before.
Yeah.
So that's a huge improvement, because I know at 32 gigs that can fill up pretty fast. And they're using USB-C.
That is a big difference.
Yes.
Now, with this advent, all new iPads moving forward have USB Type-C, no Lightning connectors from this point forward on new iPads. And so I don't know if this is a signal that we might be losing them for iPhones in the future. More on that later.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
But I think we'll probably have no ports on the iPhone before we see
go to
USB
USB-C.
Type-C.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was the big thing. And speaking of big things, let's make a transition and talk about mini things. The iPad Mini has not been updated in, what did you say,
711 days or something.
like
I saw in a
4 to
tweet.
5 years, something like that. I'm not a math. I'm not
Closer
not a
to
math.
2 years
Okay,
since they did anything to it, and the last one was not spectacular.
The only change they made was Apple Pencil support.
Yes.
I got to be honest. And so, but I'm not I didn't letter in math like you. So yes,
Yes.
a couple to a few years rather that they've updated this device. And what an update it was. Basically take the new iPad Air that came out last, I think in 2020, fall of
Yes.
2020, and just shrink it down. And there you go. It's got Apple Pencil 2 support. It's got the same cameras. It's got the same form factor. It's got the same edge-to-edge design with no home button on the face of the device, and instead there's a top
Touch ID.
Touch ID button. I mean, it couldn't be any more similar to the iPad Air than it is right now, which is fantastic. And I'm the type of guy where I'll grab my iPad Mini from, man, it's really old at this point. It's an iPad Mini 2.
Ooh.
I don't even know how far back that goes. I think dinosaurs roamed the earth at that time. But I still bring it with me because sometimes I just want to play a quick game or do social media or do whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is a device that really appeals to my sensibilities.
Yeah.
You can carry it around. It's not quite pocketable, but you can take it wherever you go.
Yeah. It's $499 is the price on that, so it is more expensive than the low end, which is kind of weird in your mind because it's smaller. But this is a really cool device and a really big upgrade for the iPad Mini. It's got that flat edge design, new speaker system. I mean, this is a really cool iPad in between the phones and then the more standard size.
Yeah, it's not the most popular size of iPad, but for those who really like it, this is a breath of fresh air. Let's see what else we're missing here. They've got new colors. They've got purple, pink, starlight. I don't know what color that is. And then space gray, of course. It's got the liquid retina display, just like the iPad Air. It's basically the same footprint as last year's model, but with an 8.3-inch screen, which is larger than before.
Yeah.
And we mentioned the Touch ID, etc. And this is kind of funny. The CPU is 40% faster, and the GPU is 80% faster than last year's model, but it wasn't last year's model. It was several years ago model.
Yes.
And that model was the same as the model before. They just added the pencil support.
Yes.
So, I mean,
it was overdue for a big increase.
Very much overdue. And for those of you who like cellular iPads, it does support 5G.
Yes, indeed. Well, after that, they got even smaller and went to the Apple Watch, and they start off talking about there's a bunch of new bike tracking features, which I asked Dave what percentage of people ride bikes on a regular basis, and he smartly commented that the circle of wealthy people that work at Apple, yes, they ride bikes a lot.
A lot of them ride bikes and do all that stuff. But I know people around here that ride bikes too. In the Pacific Northwest, it is a thing that people do. But all these features for, like, if you fall down while riding your bike, there's fall detection, of course. And, hey, do we need to call authorities? Are you okay? You can do that. More tracking, like how far have I gone, those type of things.
Yes.
The watch will be able to tell you. And there was a small video they showed about the narrator was asking questions and the watch was basically answering everything.
Yes.
So hopefully with new watch, new smarts, new fitness, new everything. And the thing that most people were really looking forward to was the dust protection. Right?
Yeah.
It's less
I
prone to dust.
I realized that with my current Apple Watch that I should not have it around dust.
Yeah, the dust intrusion has been increased, and now it's IP6X rated for dust intrusion, which is great. I like Apple Watch. I'm still rocking the Series 3, so it might be time for me to upgrade. We've got brighter screen when it's indoors with its always-on stuff, but surprisingly, no new sensors, just kind of new software. Due to the faster chip and better battery life and those type of things. But
so the screen there's 20% more screen area than the Series 6, which is the one I have in the new Series 7, and they've created some new watch faces that kind of use more of the screen that kind of has a new wraparound screen thing.
It's kind of like the Android phones that have the infinity display that roll off the edge. Now the new Apple Watch display kind of wraps down into that glass area. There's a new design sensibility, and so which warranted new watch faces.
Now there were a lot of rumors, and from all the top rumor guys, people in the industry, they were saying that it was going to be a completely new design with more of a flatter edge like the newer iPhones or the older iPhones. But we did not see that, but they're using better materials. They're using more recycled stuff. It starts at $399, so the same pricing structure, and
which is really $429 or whatever for the larger size.
Yes, indeed.
But here's a question: would the $399 size be suitable for an adult male? Typically, the smaller ones are for females or children, which have smaller wrists.
Yes, for a larger wrist. Now that they've made the screen bigger, if that smaller one would be, that's a good question.
And I'm just asking that because some people always balk at the price, me included.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if I could get away with rocking the $399 one or without spending the extra $40 or $50 for the larger size. But you know me.
Yes.
I'll probably just get the bigger one.
Yes, and they are keeping around the Apple Watch Series 3, which as their low price model at $200, which that's 4 years old now, and so that one I would not recommend buying that. They also had the SE, they're keeping that around, which they announced
and it was like $279 for the SE. I would recommend, if your first foray into Apple Watch and you don't want to spend $400 plus, get the SE.
Yes.
I would not look at the Series 3 unless it's for like a child and they're going to get lost or broken.
Yeah, no, the Series 3 I am not excited that that's the one they kept around. It seems like they could bump that up a little bit, but stay away from that one. Then they spent, it felt like half of the whole presentation talking about the Fitness Plus features.
It went on forever, and surprisingly I only took 4 bullet points.
Yes.
You can do group workouts now, however that works, via your phone or Apple TV or iPad. You can share workouts with people. And hey, they have Pilates now. Did you know they didn't have it before?
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's new. And we couldn't mention Pilates without the guided meditation now too.
True.
Which is, I knew they didn't have that, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
If you are a low impact person who just wants some mind body health type stuff, it's nice that there's meditation there for folks. And this, I don't even know what it was. They kept mentioning it. Getting ready for snow skiing and winter sports. What was this? Was it like some cardiovascular workout to get ready for the winter?
I don't know. I got really lost in that section because I just wanted them to talk about iPhones, and it went on, and it's like, if you use Fitness Plus, you're going to be in there, you're going to see the new stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and you have to have an Apple Watch for the Fitness Plus, so it was kind of a weird chunk in the middle of the show as everybody's waiting, hey, show me some new iPhones.
Yeah, it went on forever, but if you're into Fitness Plus, great new updates for you.
Yes.
And then the star of the show, what do we see there?
Yes, the iPhone 13. They did go with the 13 nomenclature. There was discussion on that, as there's discussion on every aspect of everything when it comes to Apple. And they are doing the iPhone 13 and the 13 mini again.
Mm-hmm.
Some people weren't sure if they were going to do the mini, so having that smaller size there is nice for some people. Now they did, the cameras were vertically aligned if you're holding your phone upright before. Now they're diagonally aligned, so people will be able to quickly tell if you have the new one or not.
And that's the main thing. Sometimes they use color to signal, hey, this is the new model. Sometimes they use design, and they've got one more orientation, actually two, I guess, but they could make it horizontal when it's in the upright system, and they can do the diagonal the opposite way.
Oh, yes.
Instead of left, right, it's right, left, or whatever. So my guess is hopefully they'll innovate changes before that happens, but we shall see. But yes, the new diagonal, you can signal to all your friends you've got the new phone. But there are great improvements besides the position of the cameras. The notch on the face of the phone is smaller.
Yes.
That array of sensors, they've been able to shrink that down. I would have liked for them to increase the angle of attack for the Face ID sensor.
Yes.
And come on phones, can we get horizontal and vertical unlock like on iPads?
Please.
It drives me crazy. So we didn't get that, but both of them have bigger batteries and have longer battery life. And in fact, an hour and a half more for the mini and 2.5 more for the regular standard iPhone 13 over the 12. So those are significant updates.
Yes.
I don't know that on any of these products, if you had last year's model, if it's worth upgrading. But if you've been holding off, there's not a better time than now.
Yes.
And if you've heard reports, well, the Mini's battery doesn't last as long. Well, now it lasts a little bit longer. So there you go. What else we see in this thing?
Yes, and I do like your bullet point, and I will say quickly, big thanks to Dave for his copious notes that he types away while I just sit here in my recliner staring at the screen and checking Twitter. But he did write the A15 Bionic better than the last one, which, yes, that's all we need to say. The chip is better than the last one. They did make some improvements to the back cameras, and there's a new cinematic mode for videos where it does what they call rack focus, where it will transition focus from one object to another, and it does it automatically. So let's say you're looking at the camera, you turn your head to look at somebody else, then it will focus on them. So you see that a lot in movies and everything, where it really helps show where you should be putting your focus while you're watching it.
Like if the character's looking down at his hand and then looks back and across to the building behind him, the focus would change, indicating to the viewer that their attention should change.
Yes.
And so all that stuff's been baked in, automatic, machine learning, millions of transistors and all these things working together for machine learning and algorithms. And I'm trying to think of other buzzwords they used.
You can jam in there.
Yeah.
Yes, and of course they did mention throughout the show today 5G a couple times, because that's still a thing. Not quite as much as they did 250 times or whatever it was last year, but 5G is still a thing.
Did we mention 5G though?
Oh, there was 5G.
Yeah.
We got that on there. So the Mini starts at $699. The standard 13 starts at $799, and they start with 128 gigabytes of storage, which is great, up to 512.
Yeah, which
on
is
the
fantastic.
regular 13s. And then we got to what I was anticipating. And if you're following Not Nerd Pod on TikTok, I did a short video. My one hope was that Apple would not convince me to buy the 13 Pro Max, that I could get away with the smaller Pro this year. And so they went through all the details, and the one thing I needed was the cameras to be the same. The 12 Pro Max cameras were just slightly better, so I went with that one, but it's just too big for my needs. So the cameras are the same in the both. They have 4 colors on the Pros: the graphite,
yes.
gold, silver, and Sierra blue, which is a new lighter blue as opposed to the more midnight blue that they had for last year's models. Also has smaller notch and sensors. It's got the A15 Bionic 5-core GPU, ProMotion. So this is the big one. Yes. The display, this has been a complaint from the Android side, or a criticism of iPhones, is 120 hertz displays, which is a faster refresh rate. So they have built in ProMotion on the iPhone. They had it on the iPad Pros and maybe some of the Macs. I'm not sure, but this, and it will be a variable rate, which will be really nice. Sometimes the screen will move faster if you're doing intense gaming, or it'll slow down to kind of preserve battery life, which again, with Apple, the fact that they control everything, they can really dial this in and should work very well.
Yeah, the technology is not new, and it's not even new for Apple. It's just the first time this has debuted inside a phone that Apple makes. And so I think pro phone users are going to really like this feature by making those adjustments.
Yes, and I believe the screen sizes on the two models are the same, but it's a better screen. But they did update all 3 cameras on the back of the iPhone Pro, and the telephoto now has 3x optical zoom, up from 2.5 on the 12 that was only on the 12 Pro Max.
Yeah.
The Pro last year only had the 2x zoom, but all the sensors are larger, wider lenses, and with the ultra wide lens you can now do macro photography.
And that's awesome. I love doing macro photography. And I've experimented in the past with various lens kits that you can buy for your phone. And let's take a moment to talk about Moment lenses. See what I did there?
I did.
Moment is a high-end lens manufacturer for your iPhone that you snap onto a case, and then you can get like ultra wide, or you can get a telephoto, or you can get macro. Well, Apple is slowly putting them out of business.
Yes.
Because we've got the 3x telephoto now, we've got the ability to do macro, and we've got the wide-angle lens. And I'm thinking, why do we need the Moment lens kit now? I'm not exactly sure that we do.
And I do have some, not Moment ones, but some of the other brands, and it's like, I don't, with the 3 cameras on there on the rear of my iPhone, I don't need that. But and with this macro on the new one, that'll be really nice. And they talked about photo styles that you will have, where you can create, you can go in, edit a photo and set that style so that you can apply it to all of the photos, which is something you can do in like Adobe Lightroom or something, but you can really do it on the phone now.
Yeah, and there are other apps I think on the phone that can do it, but to have that built in, and I was sharing with you that I typically will do the auto correction, not all the time, but typically do an auto correction, and then I like to add a slight vignette to my photos. It brightens the center a bit, darkens the edges, and makes your focal point the center of the image. Most of the subjects that I take are right in the center of the image. And so having to go in and do that manually to every photo is kind of a pain in the rear.
Yes.
So if I could apply that to all the photos I took that day, it would be very helpful.
Yes, and they also talked about ProRes video, which in the high-end video world, ProRes video, it's basically very similar to RAW photos. When taking pictures, where you're really just trying to get all the information, then you can do a lot of modification afterwards. I myself probably will never use it because I like the way the iPhone does it and makes it a lot easier and saves a lot of editing. But if you're, like Stallman, who's makes commercials and does all this stuff, he always talks about being able to record on his high-end cameras and ProRes video. So that's, again, coming to the iPhone, which is just crazy, the stuff that they're able to do.
Yeah, I mean, people have made feature films on the iPhone before. I would say short films.
Yes.
And they've been used in feature films before. You might not even know it.
Yeah.
Just a couple scenes or a quick shot or something. But it's getting closer and closer to where just ordinary people can make cinematic films that look and work just like the big boys.
Yeah.
Of course, there are a few tweaks in quality that aren't going to be there, but with the amount of stuff that we watch on YouTube and TikTok and stuff, our standards have gone way down.
Yes.
So it's within the reach of millions of people to create movies, like really good movies, and I'm looking forward to seeing what people come out with.
Yeah, they've really done. They talked about how you have your full video workflow right on your phone now, because you can do editing, and with that, the rack focus that we mentioned on the regular 13s, I don't know if this is only on the Pros, but I think it's on both. You can adjust the focus later, so you can actually dial that in, kind of like on slow-mo videos where you can cut where it starts and stops right on the phone. You can do that with the focus, so you can actually adjust where the video is focused, which boggles my mind that they have that much data in there that you can adjust that.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to going up to people who create videos and saying, "Nice rack focus."
Yes, you do. They did also talk, 1.5 hour more battery life on the 13 Pro and 2.5 more on the Pro Max. They did show on both the phones. There was so much information in this, but that they've kind of redesigned the innards so they can put in more battery. So more battery life is always a good thing. They are starting once again at $999 and $1099 for the Max, and there's a new 1 terabyte storage option available. So I did look up the pricing for the 1 terabyte 13 Pro Max. It is $1,599, so $1,600.
This laptop computer cost a little bit less than that.
Yes, and they did mention that they have their trade-in program and the carriers have their programs. I'm seeing kind of, so if I choose that one, it says that you might be able to get, I think it's mostly the trade-in stuff. They're not going to give you a lot of deals right off the bat with the carriers, but so yeah, that's $1,600. I have had the 256 model for several years, I think, different iPhones, and it's been good enough. There's a couple times where it's gotten full because my podcast app has 1,000 episodes downloaded or what.
Right.
But I think really 256 is kind of the sweet spot for storage. And you have the 128?
Yeah, in an effort to save a few $100, I decided to go with a lower storage option last time. And let's just take a look here real quick to see how much room I have left. I did have it to where it was set to delete apps if I'm not using them. I found out quickly I don't like that.
Yes.
Because I use a lot of the apps on my phone, and if I'm in an area where there's not good cellular coverage,
it is a pain.
Yeah. So I don't do that. But right now, even with all the photos and videos I took on a recent trip, I'm sitting at 96 gigs of my 128. So I still have room for stuff. So.
And I will, as I'm looking through Apple's page, they've got it live now for the trade-in with Apple. For my iPhone 12 Pro Max, they will give you up to $790 trade-in. Now, I'm on the Apple upgrade program, so that's not how I do it. But they'll even do Samsung Galaxies. You can get a couple $100 for the Pixel 3a that I have. I could get up to $45 for trade-in, Dave.
Wow.
You better
do that.
But even if you have an older iPhone and you're looking to get a new iPhone, I would check with your carrier, look at what Apple will offer you. Also look at maybe switching carriers. They might give you some extra promos if you're willing to switch to, say, T-Mobile, that we are fans of. And now that their breach has already happened, hopefully they'll have better security.
Yeah, if you're a new customer, you don't have to worry about it. They don't have your info.
Yeah, so just a quick recap. We got the new base iPad, the completely new iPad mini, the Apple Watch Series 7, the iPhone 13 and 13 mini, the iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max. That was all we got, and then they wrapped it up. Now, Dave, I know we were kind of talking during, and it's still early. We're 50 minutes past the end of it, but what are you thinking out of this offering that you might purchase?
Well, I'm not on the Apple upgrade plan.
Yes.
And I bought my phone on an installment plan through Apple because why not? It didn't cost me any extra. So I'm still paying this off and have another year before it's paid off. So I'll probably keep my iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Yes.
The camera improvements were subtle enough for me. It didn't seem like worth updating. And although I do fancy myself to be a cinematographer, I don't think the rack focus is something to go spend $1,000 extra bucks on. So I keep my phone. However, I recently sold my iPad and have been waiting for new iPads to be announced.
Yes.
And the standard iPad is not that compelling to me. I always feel like I need a more pro machine than that. But the iPad mini that came out is very compelling to me. So I might actually make a move and get that device. And if I get nothing else from this event, I think I'm pretty much going to get a new Apple Watch. Whether it is a used 6 or 7 model or the brand new, are 7 the new one?
7 is the new
7
one.
new. Whether it's a used 5 or 6, okay.
Yes.
Man, the numbers, again, I did not letter in math. So, but the new one doesn't have any extra sensors or anything mind-blowing except for the kind of wrap-around display, which I don't really care about.
Yeah.
So if I could find a deal on last year's model, I might actually go for that. But the Series 3 is kind of getting me down. It's not that great.
Yeah, it's time for you to upgrade with as somebody that uses your watch as much as you do.
Yeah. What about you? You're on the upgrade plan, so you'll be getting the new phone.
Yes, so I am very excited that I can get the 13 Pro and not have the max size phone this year, so it'll fit better in my shirt pocket.
And it'll actually save you some money.
Yeah, so it'll save, and I'll probably stick with the 256 model. Like I mentioned, that seems to work pretty good for me. So yeah, I'll be able to save some on my monthly payment. The Apple Watch, if it was the whole new design, I just bought the Series 6 last year.
Yeah.
If it was the new design and if they maybe had some of the sensors that were rumored, like blood oxygen, or they have blood oxygen, but like glucose and a bunch of stuff.
Blood pressure was one.
Yes, that was the other one.
Yeah.
But so I think maybe if those rumors came from somewhere, so that's probably next year's model, so I don't think I need a new watch. And the iPads, I really like. I was telling you before it started, with the iPad, I have an iPad Pro that's now maybe 3 years old. That's the older design, doesn't work with the second generation pencil. But the main reason I would upgrade is just for the design aesthetic of it. I don't use my iPad that much, so I don't think these, but the base level iPad, I think that's really great. I just don't have a need for it, but I do have some clients that are looking to use iPads or have some older ones that could be upgraded. So that might be worth recommending to them, but definitely excited for the iPhone 13 Pro. And I will mention, I don't think we did on the iPhones, that they go up for pre-order this Friday. So the 17th, and then they will be available on the 24th. So a week from Friday, I should have, hopefully, a new iPhone in my hand, which I am always excited about and is fun to have. So,
and you can turn your new one in immediately because you can borrow mine for comparison.
Oh, yes, there you go. They do give me a couple weeks to turn the old one in, so I do sometimes carry 3 phones between my Pixel if I need that, my last year's phone and this phone when I first get it, and while I'm getting everything transferred and just making a mess of myself carrying around a bunch of phones. But I am very excited. The Apple Watches, I don't think they said when the Series 7 was coming out, and there was rumors that there's been some delays in manufacturing on those, especially with the new screen and stuff. But I am surprised we're getting the phones a lot earlier than we had the last 2 years. Even prior to COVID, it was just a slower, and they staggered. They're doing them all at the same time this time, which I really like. But yeah, so those will be ready to go. They've got those ready. And the iPads you can actually order today, and I think they come out, is it the end of this week or maybe next week?
I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, that's exciting. I'll have to go talk to my wife about future purchases.
Yes.
It's like, you don't really need a couch. Let's get an iPad.
Yes. Well, that is a a wrap-up of today's Apple event. Of course, we'll probably find out a lot more information as everybody digs in and some of the tech guys get their briefings with Apple, which we have not been invited to yet.
No,
Maybe
yet.
one of these years, but we'll have probably some more details. But I am excited for next week's episode because now we've had 2 special episodes with our 300th and then the Apple event to actually get back to the news. So next week might be like a 3-hour-long episode as we try to get caught up on our lives and what's been going on in the world of tech. But it's an exciting Apple event. The video production, go watch it or find one of the shortened versions. They do such a beautiful job with it, especially now that it's fully remote. So they can kind of cut it, and I mean, they probably spend months getting that video all together, and it is well done, but it's also helpful to hear us talk about it, so you know all the details. That's why I saved this part till the end of the episode, because now you can go watch the whole presentation. But the nice thing for you is watching it after the fact. You can fast forward through that Fitness Plus part in the middle if you don't care about that.
Or get the shortened versions, like you said. Wait a couple hours, there'll be a supercut of all the important parts.
Yes, there are video editors all over the world right now chopping out everything they can from the video to just give you the highlights. But another great Apple event. I am hopeful. I thought maybe they'd mention something with AirPods today. I didn't expect them to mention anything about new Pro laptops, but as they've done in the past, they could do that at any time next week. A month from now, they could do another event. There's a lot of options there for them, and they have a plan that I do not know about. But yes, so I will be getting a new iPhone. Hopefully you'll get a new iPad or 2 around your house. And let us know what you guys are getting, or when you order stuff, or if you have questions, please let us know, because we will be learning a lot as all the other podcasts that we listen to come out and break everything down for us. So with that, thank you so much for listening to this. Hopefully you are up to date on what Apple announced today so that you can get out there and tech better.
It's not adverse. It's not there.
It's weird recording with my feet up. You can put your feet up there too.
I better not. I don't want to get too crazy here.